Hey James, you were sent a special question by text by the Who White Monkey.
Yes.
So, and what was the question?
The White Monkey podcaster wanted to know if there would be a type of combat sport that could be developed that would be better for the development of young men than football, MMA, and other things that are big money popular things.
Bug sports.
Okay, so I thought about it. The pentathlon had already been taken. The pentathlon in the ancient world was that sport.
Right.
It was the sport where you got the most battalion, regimental, and divisional leaders out of. You got community leaders, you got ambassadors out of it. You got diplomatic envoys out of it. Aristotle regarded the pentathlete, the five-sport athlete, as the perfect athlete, the perfect civic human, where some of the boxers and wrestlers were just kind of like ridiculous goons that toured around making a bunch of money. So the pentathlon's been taken and turned into a skiing and shooting sport. So we can't do that. So for a modern pentathlon, take a look at the ancient pentathlon. It's running, jumping, throwing the stone, throwing the javelin, wrestling. Okay. So
ancient warrior skills.
So my idea was that we would do like an ultimate pentathlon or a complete combat athlete competition, and the standard is MMA. The 5-minute round is really the highest athletic standard right now for combat. And that's very close to the length of amateur wrestling, 6 minutes, 3 2-minute rounds,
Right.
and amateur boxing, 3 2-minute rounds.
Right.
So I'm thinking 5 sports, 5 minutes. And we would start out with either a foot race or an obstacle course. Something that should be something where the target for completion would be around 5 minutes, like a mile, or an obstacle course that would be structured according to that. And the man who wins the foot race or obstacle course would get 5 points. The chase group would get 3 points. The pack would get 2 points. The stragglers would get 1 point. And people that didn't complete it would get a goose egg. And then you go on to the next event. And I would have a 5-minute round of wrestling for number 2. It would be 5 minutes of wrestling with 5 points up for grabs, basically. However, the wrestling people decide to score that, I'd say 5 points would be for a pin. If you pin the guy in 10 seconds, your bout is over. Okay, done. 5-minute boxing match. If you knock the guy out in 10 seconds, done. You got 5 points. And then you could go all the way down to 0 for not completing the event, to 1 for surviving a decision, maybe 2 for a draw, 3 for a marginal decision, 4 for, an obvious win, 5 for a knockout. So, foot race or obstacle course, wrestling, boxing, stick fighting, 5-minute stick fight. You're not going to see it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to go 5 minutes in a stick fight. I went 10 minutes one time.
Hell no.
Just because I ran like a coward. Okay, so that's probably going to be a knockout.
Yeah.
That's going to be nasty. That's going to be 5 points up for grabs. Then, to really throw a wrench in the works, the 5th sport would be fencing. Whatever type of fencing the national governing body or the locals would want. If it's in the Philippines,
Stick fight.
they're going to want to do some kind of knife fighting because you've already done stick fighting. Germans might like sabers. Italians might want the épée.
Épée,
The English would probably want the foil. I don't know. But some type of blade, it's got to be steel. Not sharp, but it's got to be steel. And it's got to be minimal gear. Machetes, dull machetes work fine. Okay, and I've done that like 225 times, and I'm like a 40 percentile human.
He still has all his fingers. Look.
Right. So, although this one did get broken twice by machetes. So, after everybody's gone through this, and there's been 5 points up for grab for these 5 events, you need to decide who the champion is. So, if 2 men tie for first, then they fight a 5-minute MMA round.
Oh, use MMA
as the tiebreaker.
Nice.
You know, well, and if one guy wins, and he fights the second place guy in an MMA round. If there's 2 second place guys tied, they're going to have to fight first in one of the other disciplines.
Right.
Okay, and that would be by lot or something. And for the ultimate version of this, you know, if you end up developing a tour for this, the ultimate version would be to assign teams by lot and have a rugby game for the first event instead of the running or the obstacle course. Okay, and because I'm very impressed with a young man who's a rugby player that
rugby's good.
That I sparred with, and
tough lad.
The other thing is when he got me watching these rugby games, I was like, any rugby team would murder any NFL team.
No, I'm sure.
In a street fight, alley fight. I mean, forget the size; it's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Equal amount of guys, rugby guys win.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, this is a much more independent, and you're going to have guys out there that never played rugby before, and for that, it's going to be a team event. So, the winning side splits the number of points they scored, and the losing side splits the number of points they scored. Okay, so that would maybe wash out some of the egomaniacs who can't get along with anybody.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
So then we breed them all for the future. Anyway, okay.
All right.
And thanks for the question, White Monkey.